All right, so we are going to learn how to make a custom stamp. So I am going to make a Ron Swanson stamp. So I am going to go to the internet and find a Ron Swanson silhouette. Obviously, um, with yours, you are going to talk to your faculty member. Sometimes they gave you an idea already. Sometimes they might even have given you an SVG already. So you are going to decide where you're at with this. I'm going to give you an example of finding something from the internet. But the big things are it needs to be simple. A stamp, the more complex it is or the more detailed, the less likely it is to work well. So you're going to find a image that you're happy with and then save. You're going to want to make sure it's a PNG or a JPEG. If it's not, find a different one or take a snip. Then you're going to save it. And then you're going to open up Illustrator. Oh, I already did it. All right, so you're going to find a new file. I'm going to go about 4 by 4 inches. And then you are going to go to File. And you are going to place. All right, so you're going to go find that item, and then you're going to place it in here. Again, the simpler the image, the better. Trying to do super complex stuff is going to be tricky. All right, so we want to trace, expand. Okay, and you see that blue outline. All right, so once you have that, and then what we're going to do is we are going to make this stamp a rectangle of, it's going to be 1 inch by 1.5. 1.5. All right, so if that happens, and so you can kind of change that up, and we can do it separately. Like you can do that, and then just put in 1. It was trying to do it proportionally. All right, so anyways, what we have here is we have this shape, okay? Maybe. There it is. All right, and then you want your stroke, your outline to be 0.003, okay? And I would put it as black, okay? So it's going to look like that. Now, this, what you have right here is you're going to want to edit it to make it to be the size that you want. Try not to distort it. And then what we're going to do is you don't want it to be 0.003. You just want it to be some thickness a little bit more than that. And then what I'm going to do is ungroup, because we don't want this extra part right here. We just want that. And what we're going to do here is this is actually going to be black. It's super important that we do this, because with a stamp, we're going to do the inverse. So when we highlight this, we are going to change this to white. All right. And now when we bring this in, let's see what happens. All right. So what we want to do is, if we do this, we want to right click, and then we want to go to bring forward. All right. So that way, when this goes, you're going to see the white. Okay. Try to center it up, something like that. And then I'm going to use Ron Swanson's iconic statement of no. All right, you can highlight this, and then we'll go through. Oh, I don't know. I kind of like this one, but you can choose which font you want to use. You want it to be white. All right, and then what happened here? Sorry. So, and then highlight it, and then bring it in, and you want to make it the size that you're happy with. Okay. So this is what we're looking for. So this is going to be the stamp. So the laser is going to cut out all this, and it's going to be left with this stuff. Now, last but not least, though, with this stamp is, and it defaults for you if you look at this, let's try this again. You're going to see not reflect, you're going to see rotate. So you're going to right click on this and switch to reflect, or you could use O. All right, but basically you have this and then you're just going to highlight. So the steps are basically highlight this, go over here, and if you double click on it, it'll automatically switch it over to that. Now you want to be careful with it, try not to have it rotate. I might adjust this over just a little bit because I think it's not quite centered. Okay, so there's my stamp. Then we're also going to have a engraved piece of wood on the top. So I'm going to copy and then paste. And what we're going to do here is we are going to make it smaller. So we're going to cut it in half. So we're going to say 0.5. And we're going to say 0.75. All right, so it's going to be cut in half that way. And we are going to double click on the reflect and switch it back. Okay, go back to this arrow, and then we're close to being done. Now this, what we're going to do though, is now we're normally lasering this out. So what we have to do is we have to switch the black to white, and then we're going to switch that to black, and this to, let's see if it goes this time, there, and this. So you're going to have to play around with this just a little bit to make sure it looks good. But we want basically the reverse. So this mirrored and this here. We want to save as. All right, save our file. Make sure you know where it is. So I'm going to save this as Swanson. And then what you are going to do is you are going to export this as a PDF. All right, so you're going to export it as a PDF to the building share. South student ID, and it's going to be a, we're going to make a new folder here. All right, it'll already be there, but custom stamp. Okay. And then you are going to save it as the teacher's name dot your name. So like, let's say I was making this for Schmidley dot my name Odom. All right. So then we would save, and that part is done. Now we would go and we would open up Fusion. All right. Make a new file. Okay. And we are going to make it's going to be fairly simple. We're not going to do anything too crazy here. But basically what's going to happen is we are going to make a rectangle that is 1.5 by 1. Okay. And, we'll make it just a little bit bigger than that. So we'll do 1.1. Oh, let's try that again. All right, so tab 1. We'll say 1.7. So we'll do a little bit more than, we'll do 0.1 on either side. And then we'll go over here and we'll say 1.2. Okay, so that allows us a little bit of wiggle room when we are gluing this on. All right, so then we will fillet the edges. And the fillet, we just want it to look nice. So we can do maybe a 0.1. Okay, and then we'll finish our sketch. So hit the house, and we will extrude this up. We'll say right around 0.1. And then we are going to make another sketch right here. And I'm going to make a rectangle inside here. All right. So this doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. I'm going for about 2 squares on each side, something like that. As long as it looks pretty good, you're probably fine. Now we're going to extrude this up. We'll say about 0.5, and we're going to add a taper to it to make it look nice. So maybe like a 15-degree taper. Okay, so now the stamp's going to go on the bottom, and this, and now I'm going to make a sketch on here, and we want it to be the size of, oops, Uno reverse. So we want this to be the size of our smaller thing. So it's got to be 0.5. All right. So 0.5 by 0.75. All right. And then we're going to want to center this as well as we can. All right. So we're going to move this a little bit. We'll probably adjust it. So, you can play around with this. You could do a center point rectangle. So like if we wanted to, if we weren't happy with this and we wanted to make this a little bit better, we could do like a center rectangle. And we could do this. And then we could do 0.75 by 0.5. That's going to make our lives a lot easier. Okay. And then you could finish that sketch. And then what we're going to do is we are going to extrude that down a distance of, we're going to give it, basically, we'll do negative 0.15. It's going to have a little bit of an indent, but it'll be fine. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. All right. So once that's there, you are going to go to utilities, and then we're going to make this. All right. It's going to require us to save it. So we probably want to hit save stamp. Okay. And stamp. And then basically what's going to happen is we're going to have a stamp on the bottom. Boom. And then we're going to have a little piece of wood that's inset in here, and it'll look like a nice custom stamp.